You are listening to the BlahCade podcast. I am your host, Chris Freebus, aka Shut Your Trap. Joining me as always, halfway across the world, Jared Morgan.
Live from a boat because it's been very, very wet here in Queensland.
Oh,
yeah? Yeah, we've had flooding here in Queensland. We've got about, some centres have had 400 millimeters of rain in about 3 hours.
Well, this is why your cars have the snoot on them, right? The exhaust snoot that goes up to the roof, so you can drive through this stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they actually have another campaign here called "If It's Flooded, Forget It," because there's lots of heroes. There's lots of heroes that like to drive through flooded water and not realize that half the road's washed out beneath them.
Right.
And yeah, it's a bit of a bad time. So yeah, they actually have this campaign that says "If it's flooded, forget it," and most people still ignore it, as you see in all the news.
It's amazing the campaigns that have to get put out, for various causes, and they might as well just start every one of these with, "Hey, dumbass."
Yeah, they really should, shouldn't they? Hey, don't be an idiot. And don't
Clearly, you have no sense of common sense. So
it's like, you go through, like, there's some bits of road. I saw some cars going through like flooded areas with water over the road, and the water, you could actually see the road below it, and it was low enough that would not have been any trouble at all to get across, and that's okay. I think as long as you can see the road surface below, and the condition of the road underneath, then that's fine. But if all you see is a big lake, or like rapid water going over a huge like expanse, like what was like a 10-meter wide creek is now a 50-meter wide creek, maybe not.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's been real wet here, but we've been fine. But pretty much everywhere else that's low has been inundated. Some 40-year records have been broken here, so it's been crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, we actually got sent home. The government here in Queensland officially sent everyone home last Thursday, and closed all the schools on Thursday and Friday, which was great for the kids because it's now school holidays here.
So early.
Extra 2 days of school holidays for them, so they're stoked, and the parents are going, ugh.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, over in this neck of the woods, the rain has seemingly stopped. We're back to sunny weather, and that makes me happy because I don't like the cold. I don't like the wet. I know that we need the wet, but I really don't like it.
Yeah. I don't really mind the wet, but I don't like this sort of wet. Ridiculous wet, like biblical wet.
Yeah, biblical proportions, apocalypse wet.
Yeah. No good. Well, it's classic California, really, isn't it? Like, it's sunny all the time.
Well, yeah. Southern California. We do have to delineate ourselves from Northern California. Or see, when we talk California, we always just assume Southern California, and when Northern Californians talk California, they have to specify Northern California because otherwise they get lumped in Southern California, and they don't like us much. So
that's probably fair enough too, because if you think of Queensland, there's like Southeast Queensland, which is where I live, and then there's like the north, which is tropical. So it's sort of like saying, oh, just Queensland. It's very broad because California is quite a big state.
Yeah, we cover quite a bit of distance, long and narrow. The reason why Northern California doesn't like us is because we take all their water.
Right. Well, you got the pipes.
Yeah,
it's all pipes.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, before we get going much further, I want to give a big notice of appreciation to one of our listeners, Andrew Driver. He's been listening to us since the BlahCade podcast days.
It's really rough days.
God, that's a long time ago when there was 8 voices shouting over each other. And really bad comedy skits with really terrible Irish accents going on.
Yep.
Anyway, I just want to give a big thanks to him. He donated to the cause so that we can keep our website going. So Mucho appreciation.
Good on you, mate. Thank you very much. And yeah, keep on listening. It's going to get better.
Well, why do you say that? As if it's not good enough?
It's always going to get better. It's continuous improvement.
I always laugh at the end of our podcast. You know, if you make it through the end of the podcast, there's Jared's little notice section. Yeah, his little canned speech section saying, "Hey, thanks for listening, and to be sure and leave reviews
and stuff."
Yes, and then the final one that it always kind of tweaks me is he goes, "We can't get it better unless you tell us how." And I'm like, "We've been doing this how long? Do we really still need them to be telling us how to get better, or do we just kind of know, or do we even care?"
Well, sometimes we like to know. Like, as far as the format goes, I think we're okay. I think we've got that down, which the format basically is we do what we want, which seems to be working pretty well for the last like 50 episodes or so that we've done in this format. But it's more about, you know, leaving reviews. It's actually, on the subject of reviews for podcasts, it is actually kind of good to do it if you are an iTunes user, because it does actually surface the podcast higher. With the positive review, just like an app review, really. It contributes towards its position in the podcast chart. So if you do listen through iTunes and aren't using something like Pocket Cast on Android or something like that to consume the podcast, if you do like it, leave us a review, and if you don't, send us an email and tell us why you don't. Which is generally the case for anything as well. Like, reviews are only there to, when you leave a review for anything, it should only be positive things. If you've got negative things to say, you send an email to the person. You know, generally that should be how it works. But I know a lot of people find reviews easier to unload their vitriol in. Not that we've really had any reviews, I think, for the podcast.
I was going to say, I don't know if we have, and if we have, I haven't gotten any notification, nor have I necessarily gone over and looked.
And looking, yeah. So, yeah, but I mean, really, a lot of the time, reviews come in different forms, right? Like, so we don't get official reviews in iTunes, but we get all the folks in Pinball Arcade fans interacting with us and having a laugh. And that's, like, honestly, that's just as good.
Or on Twitter, as we just got a notification today where somebody was like, "Hey, you know what? I came in to listen to the Pinball and came out being like, yeah, they're talking Aquabats." So
everyone's happy.
Exactly. You know, you never know what we never know what's going to spark you guys' interest. As
we never know what we're going to talk about generally before the show starts. So
that does happen too.
We totally phone it in, and that's obviously seems to be the best way. That this show works. That format works for us, so we do it.
Yep. So last week on Chris's Adventures of 8-Ball Deluxe, I regaled everybody with charred boards and a non-functioning pinball machine. So since then, on Thursday, this guy Nick from I believe he actually works for Stern. He is based out in Vegas. Anyway, he was coming to the WonderCon in Anaheim, which is I guess it's another one of these, you know, it's another Comic-Con essentially, but it's not, it's more anime and cosplay based than it is movie based, which kind of Comic-Con has become very heavy
movie centric
based. So anyway, as Stern has been doing at various cons, they bring some machines and set up a booth and let it roll, and I think they've been having much success based off of pinball has definitely picked up, I say, in the last 2 years. It's become much more commonplace. I've been seeing many more articles about it.
It's become part of the zeitgeist now. It's just like
and it gets mentioned in the same breath as vinyl records and I don't know, plastic chairs. What else is retro?
Plastic chairs?
Vinyl plastic chairs. Egg-shaped chairs.
Right. Imagine if you had a place that sold vinyl chairs, plastic records, and pinballs. It'd just be a recipe for success, a business opportunity right there.
Yeah. So anyway, WonderCon is in Anaheim. Anaheim is by freeway, only 20 minutes away from me. So
All right.
after he got done setting up, he swung by my house. Again, thanks to Mike Levitt of Wizard Amusements, who gave me his phone number.
Good on you, Mike.
Good on you, Mike. So anyway, Nick came over, and as many questions that I had regarding voltage and where to meter and what kind of numbers, and me trying to stare at a schematic going, what am I looking at? Yep. He comes in there, whips out the meter, starts just touching points, going, "Nope, that's good. No, that's good. Nope, that's good." It's one of those things where when you see somebody that knows what they're doing their thing, you realize how little you know, and are ever so grateful that they know what they know, because he whipped through and troubleshot like a madman. The good news is all of my boards are fine.
Good. That's really good.
Yeah. So I was getting and he checked the power modulator board first. Said all the voltage was just fine on that. And then he started checking the MPU board and trying to figure out what was going on with that. And that one was kind of stumping him for a little bit. And then he started kind of testing various connectors and seeing if they were getting power. And on the solenoid board, there's a connector. It's called it goes into the J3. I don't know what exactly any of that is, but anyway, he kind of was plugging and jiggling and kind of just playing with it a little bit, rocking it back and forth, and all of a sudden, boom, MPU came back to life. And I realized that therefore it was my going through and unplugging and plugging everything back in that shook the connection. So it's one of those things where I said, "So do I need to replace the connectors?" And he goes, "Eventually." But in the meantime, it's working again. So
if it doesn't work again, jiggle the connectors. It could actually be
right.
It could be one of two things. It could be that the risers of the motherboard, there's a little bit of dry solder on them. So when your soldering skills get up, you might just be able to reflow solder onto those connectors or the little pins, and that might actually fix the problem.
Yeah.
Or it could actually be within the plug itself, in which case, snip the wires, redo the plug.
Again, when everybody's recommendation is first thing you do is change all the plugs, and connectors. Well,
it is usually the cause of most problems, as you found out.
As I just found out. So again, that's one of those. Okay, down the road, we'll get to that.
Buy a crimping tool, buy some Molex plugs, and just go to town.
Yeah, that put him back on course to then trying to deal with my sound issues.
Yeah.
So he was checking it all out, and he was like, "Oh no, these are warming up. They're getting, they're good. All the test points were good." He was just basically, we had a solid green light, and he wanted to get rid of that solid green light and get it to pulsing 7 times, because that would tell him where any error was. So he popped off a couple of the chips that were on there. Turns out the 2 of them had a leg broken on them.
Yep.
So he repaired the leg on each of those.
So how do you repair a leg on a ROM? Do you just touch a solder on it?
He had a little thin wire, and he kind of jammed it in the hole where it would go, and then he put the wire over, and held it in place, made sure that it was making a connection. Once it made the connection, then he soldered it into place. So it's a completely Frankenstein temporary fix. But again, all we were doing was we were just trying to find out what the issue was. Once the issue is found, well, then you can go ahead and replace as necessary. So then, but what he suspected was, and he kind of he left pretty much thinking that this is the case, but he was saying that my chips, they have what's called bit rot. So bit rot, over time, it basically chews away the information that's on the inside, and there's no replacing it other than getting a new chip. I mean, it's once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, essentially, it's just a bit like, it's essentially like the silicon inside just starts to degrade and refuses to store information anymore.
Yeah,
I think is what
so
it is.
Unfortunately, he didn't have his chip reader with him, so he wasn't able to confirm necessarily. But there's 3 short chips that are basically exactly responsible for the sound, and those were the 3 that he was like, "Nah, I'm not happy with these 3." And so what he's going to do is come back on another day with a Squawk and Talk board that he knows is fully functional, and hopefully his card reader. I assume that it's also a writer, but if we can make sure that those chips work, then we're all good, at least on the soundboard aspect. But he said the amp was perfectly fine, and again, all the voltage on it was perfectly fine. So then we moved on to the lights that I had that weren't functioning anymore. And it was kind of a string of light. I mean, obviously they were connected in some way, shape, or form. It turns out that it was more lights than I thought it initially, which was the rollover B and the arrow light. No, it was a couple of the numbered balls, and then also the in the bank of drop targets, there's a whole set of lights that are also numbered, and a couple of those were out. So there was an actual string of lights that were gone. Marking down what those were and then reading the book, he was able to determine that it's one of the it's directly below
switch
the
matrix chip.
Yeah,
so
I think that's
switch
it.
Matrix chip. Yeah,
so one of the chips.
Lat matrix.
Yeah. One of the chips
die really easily.
Yeah, so one of those chips is dead, and so he was like, "Okay, so we got to replace that."
Yeah,
but again, he checked every other connector on that board, and there was only one that was dodgy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the lamp matrix chips are like, if you need to replace them, what they normally do is when they're doing the replacement of the chip, they put a socket on there, and then they put the chip into the socket, because it's pretty common that they go, if you ground out something incorrectly or you like touch wires over things that you shouldn't be touching, it'll blow that chip real easy. So normally they just put a socket in, and you can just buy these chips. They're very inexpensive. They're like a couple of bucks, and they will just work. They're a pre-programmed chip basically, that is a drop-in replacement. So they're just an integrated circuit. That's all they are.
So anyway, once that's all, once those are all, I mean, they all seemed fairly minor, you might say. It's just troubleshooting them as major.
Yeah.
But I was amazed at how I didn't realize so many of the chips are just interchangeable with each other. There's only a very few that are specific chips. So he was able to, pop them off, put them in place, and elsewhere, and be like, no, see, it's working here. So it's not the chip that's bad. It's the or it is the chip that's bad. Determining which is.
So he was able to like take out like a sound chip and then put it into another sound chip socket, and it would still behave the same. Or it doesn't matter where you essentially put them, as long as they're all in together, and together they form the whole of its part. I guess you could say. Yeah. Right. So
it was interesting, but he was over here for 2 hours.
Wow.
Just hammering away, looking at stuff. Yeah. No, he gave it a thorough looks over.
Well, it's good. It sounds like most of the stuff that you're concerned about isn't actually a real problem, and it's just doing a few minor tweaks here, getting a new EEPROM for the sound, and that, I mean, many people out there can burn them for you. You can just buy a complete set from Market Specialties, I think, or this guy probably can actually do it for you because he have a ROM burner. So easily fixed. And it sounds like you got all you need to then do is re-rubberize a playfield and start flipping.
Well, and that's just it. It's however much I need to pay to get these little things working. Whatever's left over then goes to cosmetic appearance things. Like rubber is probably the first thing I do need to. I don't own any Novus polishing.
Just use Mr. Sheen. It's fine. Or furniture polish. Yeah.
But, well, there's the question. So over the playfield, it's not clear coated, but it looks like it has a form of mylar over the entire playfield. It's not just in specific areas, but it was the entire playfield done. So
Okay.
there's my question: are you not supposed to use Novus on Mylar?
I don't think so. Novus is just a cleaner. There's different grades of Novus, of course, like the
Right.
more abrasive version and the sort of fine polish. So I think generally Novus 2 is what they use to polish playfields and sort of get them back to nice and slippery again, so the
Yeah.
ball can really fly over it. So it works pretty much the same if it's got Mylar or if it's got a clear coat. Essentially, you're just cleaning the surface and reconditioning the surface.
Yeah.
So Ovis is, I think, used on pretty much everything. It's gentle enough that it doesn't really affect the mylar or the plastic overlay. Likewise with the automotive clear coats, it's just as good.
So then they say after
But yeah,
you've cleaned it with Novus, then throw on the Carnauba wax and let it rock.
yeah, you can if you really want to go hardcore. But seriously, I just buy a tin of furniture polish. The brand over here is Mr. Sheen. I'm sure that's a brand you can get over there as well. But it's just a spray-on foaming furniture polish, and it's good because it gets into all the little gaps. You can spray it along habit rails and stuff as well, and it brings them back up to a beautiful shine.
Habit rails, I don't get any of those.
Yeah, you don't have any of those, but you can, and I have. Like, it's my go-to polish, and I've even gone to our local supermarket and got the generic brand of it. Still works just as well. So it's fine. It just removes all the solenoid dust.
I need to get new on my pop bumpers. I need to get new pop rings.
The skirt,
so that
the actual metal thing.
No, it's the little plastic on top of a bally. It's amber, and then on top of that is the cap. That
yeah. So skirts.
So I'm missing. So I'm missing one of the 8-Ball Deluxe caps, but then at closer inspection of the other two, it looks like they've just been glued onto the onto the rings. So the rings they're only $3 each, and I can get a set of caps for $20.
Yeah, easy.
So that's not the problem. I need to get a new coil for my knocker coil, which is $10. So there, I should really need to buy some lights.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you should think about LED. I think on that era of pinball machines, some of the controlled lamps, so the ones like the 8-ball lights and stuff, they don't go so well with LEDs, but you could definitely put all the LEDs under the plastics, all the GI LEDs.
Yeah, apparently you need to get a new board though for the LED lamps.
Really?
There's something about I was reading about it that some people have had no problems plugging them in, and other people have saying that the light just kind of flickers a little bit and then goes right back out.
Yeah, I think you've got to get the right type of LEDs. Like there's really cheap ones, the ghosting LEDs.
Yeah.
But the ones that are non-ghosting, I think actually have the little bit of circuitry built in that board that you're talking about actually offers. So if you were, for example, going to use LEDs in the whole playfield, you probably would just go and buy the lamp driver board, and that would solve the problem for you. But otherwise, you can just use the non-ghosting LEDs, I think.
Again, Marco sells an entire kit for $215.
Oh, really? A whole board kit?
A whole board kit and all the LEDs. Or, I can spend $22 and have 100 bulbs of just regular 555s and go with that for a little while.
Yeah, that'll certainly do for the time being. And the thing is that, the longer you have those bulbs in, the crustier the GI circuit will get. It'll just keep on getting real charred. So
if anybody out there is an LED distributor and wants to give me a sample pack that will work on my table, I'd be more than happy to accept a sample pack.
Yeah. And when you say sample pack, you mean an entire kit of LEDs?
No, I don't mean no. I'm not asking for an entire kit. I'm just saying if you want to, try and convert me to the ways of LED on a pinball machine, then, send a couple bulbs my way and let me see what they look like. See how they work. So, like I said, it's basically what I would wind up with is the cosmetics of the machine, and how that's going. I was thinking of, with the return lane, when the ball comes down, now my return lanes aren't dented at all. Like on Firepower, they were dented from how forceful the ball can come at the return lane. On 8-Ball Deluxe, it doesn't look like it's much of a problem. There's no, they're not caved in at all. They're crimped or anything. They're nice and straight. That being said, the ball comes down, and as soon as it hits the back of the flipper, it kind of does a little hop.
Yeah. So it's a wire guide, isn't it? It's like a little wire guide. The ball rolls.
Metal plate. No, it's a metal plate.
A metal plate. Okay. That could now, just be the thickness.
Cliffy sells them, and I'm not sure if they have done something with the shape so that it goes flush with the flipper instead of being slightly lower than the flipper, so the ball bounces on the back of the flipper. So that might be something that I'll try too. Those are $11 each, and I would only need the 2. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
Because it is kind of annoying doing a live flip and it hopping on you, and so therefore there are certain angles that you can't get on the fly. You have to catch the ball and get that angle, because of that.
You might find that also the flipper bats are they original flipper bats on there?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, so on that era of pinball, I think you might find that the rubbers were slightly thinner than the regular rubbers that you see on most pinballs today. So you might find that it's jumping because the rubbers are actually a little bit too thick as well. So just bear that in mind too. If you're going to replace the return lanes, also replace the flipper bats as well, because if they haven't been replaced recently, they'll be cracked to buggery.
Well, they're not cracked, that I can tell.
All right. Well, think about it because they will look. Because the thing is, if they're old-ish looking, you're going to be looking at them all the time.
Yeah.
So cosmetically, just buy a new set, and you'll be guaranteed they're the right type. Number one, and they're going to look good every time you flip. So yeah. I
did notice that on Marcos they also sell a custom pinball for 8-Ball Deluxe, which is a black pinball with a little 8 on it, and I was like, I might have to get that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Especially after seeing that kind of stuff in Pinball Arcade with their custom balls. I think I've done that very ball with 8-Ball Deluxe. Although the problem is that when you play it in night mode, it's really hard to see a black ball.
Yeah, you'll be able to see a thing. Not a problem on a mobile, but not good on a DX11.
No. So anyway, like I said, I don't know. He's the convention ends on Sunday. He might swing by after the convention. Otherwise, I think he said he'll be in California again next week. So for the meantime, the machine actually plays though, so I can get back to playing.
That's good.
Yeah, the battery on the MPU. After my neighbor and I tried cleaning it up of the corrosion that was on there, I think we cleaned up all the solder that had been trying to make any connection whatsoever. And so all the high scores, all the game settings that you do via the back box, or not via the back box, via the coin door, I can't do any of those. So it's basically factory reset, doesn't retain high scores. So that's one of those things that I definitely would like to like to get a battery back in there. I just need to I've looked up the battery replacement kits. Nobody's selling an actual battery replacement kit. So apparently everybody's just kind of homebrewing them.
I know TNT, what they do is they put a button battery holder in place where the little battery pack thing sits on the board. Yeah. And that's good because they're cheap, the little lithium batteries that you can get from a drugstore or whatever. Right. And they last for ages. They last for a good 4 years before they start failing. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. Or you just do what everyone else does and get like a little 3 AA battery pack.
Right. My question is, where do you get that from?
You could probably get those from any place that sells like spare parts. Like I'd imagine Radio Shack, if they're still in business over there, would sell those.
Yeah.
Or any place that sells kits that you can build with like electronics kits.
Yeah.
Would have all those accessories there anyhow.
Yeah.
So a really common thing to do is just jumper it off the board with long wires and rest in the bottom of the back box. But the other thing you can do as well, I think it's more expensive, but you can get a flash kit that allows you to save game settings on flash memory and doesn't need a battery backup, which is pretty cool as well. It actually just daughters onto one of the, I think the game chip goes into it, and then it just stores the settings directly on this subboard, and it doesn't require any battery backup at all. It just does it on flash memory, which is pretty cool.
He was saying that there's somebody's making a soundboard that you can play your own music on. So you can have it not play the music that is, say, with A-Ball Deluxe, and you can have it playing your own music. I was like, that's pretty cool, especially with, I think I've mentioned it so many times, it's driven people nuts, but, you know, my story about Centaur and the that custom ROM the Pack dude did, because I was like, ooh, I'd be able to get my music back in there when, you know, going to multi-ball.
It's pretty cool.
It is. And then he showed me the board for Stern, the new Stern board. I kid you not. It was, I don't know, maybe 4 inches by 3 inches. That's it. Powers everything. No, it doesn't power everything. So that board that he showed you is the Spike board that's in the back box. Then, because Spike is a distributed computing layout, there's a whole lot of daughter boards underneath the playfield that drive things like the flippers, solenoids, all that sort of stuff. So rather than having it all up in the back box, it's located right near the thing that it actually controls. So that board he showed you was actually just the ROM board, or think of it like a motherboard. It just plugs in with LAN cables. That's the amazing thing. You know, that's
right.
What plugs into the other boards, LAN cables. Like, wow, that's slick.
Yep. Just everything is network basically.
Yeah.
Back to the main controller. Yeah, and it orchestrates everything. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Spike is pretty cool as an architecture.
And then he goes, "You aren't in the market for a new machine, are you?" I'm like, "No, I can barely afford the one that I bought." He's like, "Oh," because I brought he brought a Metallica LE and a Ghostbusters. I don't know what Ghostbusters he didn't mention to the show, and he's not exactly keen on hauling them back to Vegas.
Oh, geez, wouldn't that be amazing? Oh. You can drop them off to me, and I can mind them for you until you're
right. Yeah. Do you want me to hold on to them while you do something? Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Wow. That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then I said, you know, the machine I really want is a roller games. To which I was greeted with, really? And he goes, yeah, I know a guy in Vegas that has one that's pretty much, you know, like new in box. And I was like, wow. But
wow.
I can't afford that either.
It's unobtainium. It's unobtainium,
Chris. Right? All those things when you go to the car dealership and they go, what do I have to do to get you in a car today? And you're like, give it to me for free.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty much where I'm at there. Yeah, thanks. You know.
Yeah.
Just had to pay the property tax. So
yeah. All right. Yeah, that would have sucked. Yeah.
So anyway, that's this week's adventures, and hopefully next week I will be able to say that it now tells me to quit talking and start chalking.
Yeah, it squawks and it talks. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I guess the thing you do, you get to learn lots of stuff with an old pin. More than you probably would with something like a Ghostbusters LE. But
what I have learned quickly is that I'm probably going to be the pin owner that pays somebody else to fix electronic issues with his machine, and I can strive to deal with the mechanical issues myself.
Yeah, that sounds fair enough. It is a bit of a specialized thing to be able to fix boards. So, you know, if you're not comfortable with it, pay someone who is. And as you saw, like 2 hours with the tech, you get a working pin at the end of it, or at least a pin that's working for now.
Not only that, but like I said, he knew exactly what everything should be reading without having to, you know, consult a manual or anything else like that. I can imagine me trying to figure out what test points, you know, doing the counts, knowing where they are, looking at a manual, going back and forth. I mean, that's something that would have taken me hours and hours and hours.
Yes.
So as
Absolutely.
opposed to him just being like, no, not there, yeah, no, yeah, okay, yep, that board's fine, So
yeah, it's like, oh, that's a 2-minute check, or not even that probably.
Right.
So yeah, it is a lot quicker. Sometimes pay an expert to do the job.
Yep.
It's all about time versus cost, really, isn't it? And sometimes paying the
Yep.
cost is
That it is.
worthwhile.
That it is. What else is going on? Nothing else new happened with Pinball Arcade, did it? Oh, wait, something kind of that we're going to vaguely mention.
Yeah, because we're not quite super sure if they want to talk about it yet, so we're going to be very vague at the moment.
Let's just say some people have been asking us even via Twitter. So what is going on with the month off that Farsight is taking? What are they going to be? Do we know what they're working basically on? Yeah. Do we know what they're doing? And we've had whispers. We've seen video, and we can say that we're talking about them going in and retuning tables, changing collision detections. It turns out that sometimes the way it was layered with graphic wise was affecting how the ball was reading the collision, and that was creating what we often refer to as the vacuum ramps. We can say that some of those tables that you know and love are going to be significantly more difficult.
Yeah, or let's just put it this way, more accurate.
Or more accurate, but yeah.
Yeah, but don't expect things like the ball to go rocketing up ramps and basically you just look at the ramp and the ball go up it anymore. Things are changing.
And mainly it's changing with those first 2 season tables. Now, this isn't going to be either every single table. But the tables that we've heard mentioned that are being worked on are definitely from those first 2 seasons. And, so whether or not we see better graphics on any of them, I don't know. But gameplay-wise, there's going to be something affected.
I'm pretty confident we won't see refreshed graphics on them. They're just not going to have enough time.
Yeah.
But definitely anything that can be tweaked that's already in the game. So things like collisions, draw order, stuff like that can be done. Things that actually require an art pass, such as alpha panes, new artwork, that sort of stuff, no, that won't be done. But yeah, the actual gameplay and your interaction with the playfield and the flippers, I think that's what we can actually look forward to in this bug fixing month.
And on certain tables, that's the source of many of the bugs that are on that table.
That's right. So I think as we draw closer to it, we'll start talking about it more. But there's lots of the stuff we've seen. It's certainly getting me very excited and might actually reignite my passion for some tables again after they've been implemented. So I'm really looking forward to the fixes coming out.
So that's the little bit of news that we have on that front. Anything else going on that we should mention?
I did actually get I was in a bit of a tweet conversation with Zen.
Yeah.
I follow a guy on Zen called Mel Kirk. He's one of the guys who works for Zen, and he was saying just pulled a 13-hour day at Zen Studios, but it's was totally worth it. I said, sounds like you got something pretty cool. Yeah, it sounds like you got something cooking up that should be pretty interesting. He goes, I cannot wait to show you guys more. So I think we're going to be in for a Zen table release or announcement pretty soon. So stand by for that one.
That'll be sweet.
It will be sweet. So yeah. I don't even know what they're working on, which is very much the case with Zen because they never show their cards until they actually release a table.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, keep an eye out on their Twitter feed or their Facebook page because I reckon a blog is impending.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'm about tapped out mainly because I want to go back to playing my machine.
You want to flip out, and I have to go as well because I'm having my dad over today, and kind of got to clean the house and also buy the food for lunch.
Oh well,
so probably should go do that. I think. Yeah.
All right. And you, the listener, should get back to doing whatever you're doing instead of listening to us blather on and on and on. But hey, if you want to drop us a note, give us a comment, give us an idea for an upcoming episode that you want to hear us talk about, please do so. Drop us an email, BlahCade at, excuse me, let me try that again. God, I always mess that up. BlahCade.com. No, God damn it. Jared, edit the hell out of this. Put it at the end of the podcast, please.
So the address you want is BlahCadePinball.com for the website and BlahCade at gmail.com for the email. They're the ones that you want.
That's what's going through my mind right now.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and mock us on Twitter? Jared is at Jared Morgs. I am at Shut Your Traps. You can also check out my Instagram feed. It's Shut Your Trap, or you just look up Chris Freebus, either or. You'll find my Instagram. And yeah, those are about the notes that we're going to give today.
Yeah, that's about right.
All right, folks. Hey, if you want us to geek out on anything not pinball, also give us a heads up what you're interested in, because I'm always up for going off on tangents, non-pinball.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the show is all about. So yeah, you send us stuff and we will do our best to talk about it and entertain you.
Yes. All right. So until then, we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.